La Soufriere is an active stratovolcano on the Caribbean island of St Vincent in St Vincent and the Grenadines. It is the highest peak in St Vincent and has had 5 recorded explosive eruptions. Since its last eruption in 1979, the volcano has been relatively quiet, but in December 2020 it was discovered that lava was emanating from the volcano. And while some presumed that the volcano may run out of steam and eventually go quiet, this was not the reality. Volcanic activities continued to intensify, and a few weeks ago, the island's worst nightmare was realized when a huge explosion occurred on April 9, followed by a second explosion just a few hours after. And for the first time in 42 years, nearly 20,000 people who were residing closest to the area of the volcano were evacuated from their homes. Approximately 13 days since the explosions and subsequent evacuation, St. Vincent nationals continue to live in constant fear as the outcome of this event is unknown. And while countries across the world, including Guyana, have been aiding the island through the provision of food and health supplies, the devastating impact of coping with such a distressing disaster in the middle of a pandemic is undeniable. On Wednesday, Nightly News spoke with 3 nationals who shared their individual experiences on what life has been since the eruption. Dr. Ashley John, a community disaster manager, stated that since the eruption, it has been a challenge, especially with regards to breathing properly due to the presence of excessive amounts of ash. However, he opined that the greatest challenge encountered thus far is in the ineffective distribution of supplies to those who really need it.
Seem to be having some difficulty with persons taking the supplies and carrying home instead of ensuring that the persons who suffer from the tragedy is actually receiving those supplies.
While the island continues to grapple with the uncertainty of whether there will be more volcanic eruptions, John, who has resided on the island all his life, continues to hold on to the hope that permanent relief may not be far on the horizon. Once this tragic period has ended, John suggests that the area should remain uninhabitable, as he believes that this would mitigate the adverse effects should there be another volcanic eruption. Terrible is the adjective being used by Marsha John, an early childhood teacher in St. Vincent. Marsha, who is presently volunteering at one of the shelters, expressed that since the eruptions, coping has been tremendously difficult. It is her belief that St. Vincent's recovery cannot be a speedy one.
For me, it's going to take a couple of years for St. Vincent to rise again. But we are strong as a nation, and I know we'll rise again. We just have to keep our focus. We just have to persevere. And we just have to be our brother's keeper.
Meanwhile, Randy Cordes, a technician who is presently being temporarily housed at a shelter, said he hopes he never has to experience a repeat of such an event for as long as he lives.
Being evacuated from your home, your comfort of your home, and to be in a shelter, it's not a good feeling.
Since being displaced, it has been a challenge adapting to the conditions of his new environment, since he is adamant that there is no true comfort outside of one's real home. And while the chance of the island returning to a state of normalcy anytime soon seems impossible, Curtis is still hoping that a miracle occurs and things change for the better soon. Pledging to aid the island throughout this period, Guyana shipped approximately 350 tons of supplies to the affected island on Saturday. The United Nations on Tuesday launched a $29 million global funding appeal to aid those affected by the volcano. Reporting for the AGP Nightly News, Kendell Richmond.